So now that we've gotten the main story out of the way, let's see what Let's see what the other characters' intros were like.
Subtitled, hopefully.
It's up to interpretation, Jordan.
Yeah.
This is the story of Sally. It's quite similar to the story of Akko,
She
but...
died.
Yes, you are. Of course you are.
Yeah, it's in line with the synopsis of it I read, so at the very least there was that.
They'll be playable until I get better people to play as, in which case they won't matter. The Heartless?
Don't you hate it when you're just chilling out with your friends and then suddenly evil creatures appear?
Yeah.
Thank you, Taiwan Recon.
Mind you, Sora's mother is still waiting for him to arrive for that dinner. Ah, get it? I'm named after fairy tale authors.
Oh, God damn it, I spelled adventure wrong.
Honestly, Joe, at this point,
Adventure.
Honestly, Joe, at this point, I'm pretty sure that she's died of worry by this point.
Unless the theory of her getting turned into Aerith is true. Oh, cutie honey.
A cutie honey.
父の敵パンサーゾラを倒すために今日もパンサークローと戦う私はキューティーハニーでもどうも最近のパンサー一味の何かが違うの以前にも増してヨーマが邪悪になった感じがするわ
Yeah, actually I really had to listen to figure out that it was the same person. I had to really listen to figure out it was the same person who voiced Chappie in this game. Megan.
メグです昨日見た夢がどうしても気になってノンに相談することにしたのなのにノンたらどこにいるかもわからない敵を倒せなんて無理よですって頭きちゃうわねしょうがないから一人で頑張るつもりだったんだけどチョウさんが協力してくれるっていうの
Yeah, I'll trust that
ちょっ
guy.
とチョウさんまたなんか悪いこと企んでんじゃないの
Oh, what? Just like that? I'm sure he's fine.
私はルンルンフラワーです
Joe,
From what I
son,
understand, Lulu is the one that she's one of those
ヨーマが失礼
naive
して
kind
大
of
変な
people.
ことになっているみたい
Also, psychedelic flower.
七色の花を探すのはしばらく
Oh, it's a rainbow flower.
セルジさん
Okay.
と一緒にヨーマに聞く希望の花を探すことにしたわ
Also, Sergi is very
うま
handsome.
く見つかるといいんだけど
Get it? Because she likes flowers. And now for the one that I'm not sure even anime fans with.
皆さんこんにちは
Ah,
立花
then.
ララベルです魔法の力を失ったのは直
Oh,
近
and apparently this takes place after the series because she lost her magic powers.
今は
Deep
私も
lore.
とっても人間の世界が気に入っています今日はビスカスと不思議な力を持つと言われている遺跡を訪ねてみることにしたの
Can't be, you don't want to be separated from your magical powers for
や
too
っぱり
long.
懐かしい気がするわね
So, believe it or not, this game has multiplayer.
I'm
Not
not-
much of one, but it's got multiplayer.
I mean, Unholy War had multiplayer, so why wouldn't this one?
It combines both the map mode and the battle mode. You don't get a separate melee mode.
So let
Who
me
did
guess.
you wrap into this then?
My best friend again. The same what? From what I remember, we recorded this the same day we did on Holy War.
Huh.
Really?
I think so, anyway.
So I'm curious. So how does this work? Like, well, one side chooses this set of characters, and the other side chooses this other set of characters.
All the characters you get to choose from are the same.
Oh,
But again,
so
again, you do have limited amounts of mana.
I do wonder. I mean, okay, I guess they wanted to keep the the characters from Unholy War strictly kept to being enemy AI, but I'll admit, isn't it possible to lose track of things if you can play as like the same characters each?
No, you can tell what colour. Basically, you decide to give them colours, red and blue.
Okay.
It's taking a while for whoever's playing this. I can't remember if it was me or my mate to choose.
So, is it still about where some characters you pick may be controlled by AI, or are they all completely controlled by you in this one?
You can play as all of them.
Got it. And in regards to leveling them up, how does that work, or do they all stay at a set level for the multiplayer?
Nah, it's no at a set level. The multiplayer is strictly one-person battle, and whoever was playing there forgot to summon their allies.
Oh, I get that. My point is like, well, I'm assuming that these are the levels that the characters are set with, or just like how you use them in the story mode campaign affect what their levels are for the multiplayer.
They're all set with that.
Okay.
Yeah, the campaign single player only. I should mention, I recorded this before I started recording the main game. That's why we only had the one level to choose from.
So, did you have any idea what was going on then?
I had Unholy War to build from for experience.
Yeah.
Alright.
It's not a bad idea, I guess, but it admittedly is a bit of a step down from Unholy War where, you know, each character, if I recall correctly, each character picked which faction they played as.
Although I guess in this case, it was to help with the whole crossover idea of all the different franchises.
I guess.
So say if you really, really liked Cutesy Honey, but really, really hated Echo, you could just do that.
It would have been interesting if they had, like, divided these series into different factions with which you could choose characters from.
Well, we'll see.
Again, I get the idea that, you know, due to the element that we had, all potential ideas and everything, you know, could not be implemented.
I have no idea what that bit meant there, by the way.
You!
Yeah, Devil. You've heard this sound in both Unholy War and Deadly Premonition.
It's so weird with it coming from Echo of all characters.
No, the one going, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's the little kid over there.
Sounds nothing like a little kid in that regard.
They didn't have the sound bite. Not that it matters now, because he's
Dead.
We're not like Tio. We can't have our main character.
Hey, he fainted. Fine.
You sure we can't have them fine? Mickey Momo would have a few words with you.
Mickey Momo?
Old sort of Sentai / magical girl show.
What happened to the music?
They left it out again. And again, we're in the desert, so not having music here perfectly fits how Drabo.
Oh no, wait, there is music.
It's just very faint.
Yeah.
Die.
That was a desert.
I don't know what that celebration was.
Jazz hands.
As to what that did, I don't know. It's a
Awesome.
shield. I know it's a buff of some kind, but I don't know what it is. I think it's a shield or what. I much prefer the power that the other character who's voiced by the same person has. What it is about I've always wanted to see. grown raccoon man versus 12-year-old. Also, they're not very good with hitting people. Oh, there's the music. Imagine if all enemy battles are like that. They're just running into each other,
Awkwardly
missing
fleeing
their
at each
pointers.
other. Okay, it's not too different from, say, the PvP from Dark Souls. Just presented differently.
Mate, that's quite too by the way.
Also, I love how the model under the bowler hat kept glitching.
Oh wait, you do have magical powers. You can will yourself back to full health. Or partial health. Continue with the fights.
Man, your friend really does have a thing for attacking the Tanuki character.
Again, I can't remember who played as who. I think it was the one who. I think my friend's the one who forgot to summon the enemies at the beginning. So what kind of idle animation is that?
I don't know.
One of a kind.
It's like he just ingested a whole bunch of sugar. Ah, yeah, there's their power. If you're about to fight him, he can just scuttle away, and then you'll get to fight him.
Okay.
Quick!
I guess that's a good
Bulldoze
bad
that little
thing.
girl into oblivion!
Die! Don't worry, they'll come back.
Of all the sound effects in this game, the cat noise is particularly pitchy and I cannot stand it.
Given the compression of the audio is not the
Oh
greatest.
snap, she's literally
Yeah.
dead. She just keeled over dead. Echo, you're a child murderer now. You may have to flee the country.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't she also a child? So it's just murder.
Oh, but that makes it okay then.
Yeah.
You may want to leave the country for a bit.
What kind of other extradition? What kind of other country can accept a criminal like that?
Switzerland?
It's Switzerland.
Yes. Also, Jova, from what I remember, all the war refugees and criminals tend to flee instead to South America, so stuff like Argentina.
Oh wow, that was close. I was down to 1 health and I managed to win the battle.
Which means the next one is gonna kill you.
Probably.
Well, Echo, you fought well and brave.
But alas, you're only down to 1. And I think I think the friend's got that. Got the same idea. Oh shit. Well, better just stay as far away from there as I can.
You'll never
Wait.
take me alive,
Oh my god!
motherfucker!
Echo actually won? Echo was down to 1 HP that entire battle and she still won.
I think you
Very
were slightly ahead
perseverant.
of them.
Well, she's very perseverant, you see, Jova.
So it would seem.
I mean, this is the girl that loves mirrors, so maybe by not breaking them, she gets like 7 years of good luck.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
I'll be right back.
Time to face the final boss, which is Liryu.
Yeah, again, for the multiplayer, each main control point has their own version of the original character.
I get the feeling Dwibs had quite an advantage over his mate, given he probably knew how to play this game more.
To be fair, Jova, this happened also in our war.
Yes.
Alas.
And there we go, I've killed one of the main big witch sister characters.
And what a surprise! Dwibs wins!
To be fair, it's
Woo,
not a case of by doing absolutely nothing, so at least there is that.
Yeah, I did actually have to work for it. So, after all that, we have finally reached the end of Little Witchy Mischiefs. I'll go first with my final thoughts, and despite the one playing the game, I'll be pretty brief. Again, it's Unholy War, pretty much. If you like the combat of Unholy War, odds are you'll like the combat here too, with some pretty oddly put on RPG mechanics. And by that we mean we have an EXP system. I mean, it's fine. It gives you incentive to not only fight but also use the mini games. But I mean, that's about it, really. I mean, the AI is pretty inconsistent. At times, it's pretty smart, going straight for the jugular and attacking your boss. But other times, as an idiot, especially on the cases of your side, trying to go after the enemies in spite of the fact that they're horribly outclassed and all really low on health. I can't really speak much for the story since I'm not sure I even translated it properly. Well, the ones I did anyway. I won't speak too much of the crossover, quality of crossover, since, again, I don't know much of anything about any of these series. So I'm not going to say I can't say whether they're accurate or not. It is all up in the air. Music's fine. Well, the new music anyway, what little there is. And it was interesting to see how they made cutscenes, even if there were only a few of them. So yeah, that's about it. This game is really more well known for how fascinating the development is. You know, how an American company who wanted Gundam somehow got this instead, and they were using a Western game to build from. I mean, I'm glad I played it in that respect, and it is a decent game overall. But that's about it. And if anything, this could also serve as a pretty cautionary tale for future developers. If they ever want to try and do something like this themselves, you got to be fully prepared for everything that might come your way. Toys for Bob, bless their hearts, tried their best with what they had, but what they had was a bunch of really difficult language barrier hurdles that they only just managed to overcome, and even though they got fed up and switched off the fax machine. I'm actually not joking about that bit.
Oh.
They got so fed up with how specific Bandai were about the bug testing, they just switched off the fax machine and just finished it off as it was.
That's quite a gutsy but very risky move.
And it is a shame that after this game, the Unholy War style of gameplay was never really used.
Not to mention, Toys for Bob started, doing mostly just licensed games after this. Starting with this.
Yeah, that's the thing though. A lot of people, I reckon a lot of people think there was 102 Dalmatians that won on PS1 and Dreamcast was the one that started off. They won't think of this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, it's fine. Although I'm personally more fascinated by its development than anything else.
So, Dwibs, which do you like better between this and Unholy War?
I'd say Unholy War, if only because I think it's a little bit more stable in terms of frame rates. I mean, it didn't jog that much in this game, but when it did, I really felt it. I mean, it didn't impact it too much, but it was still noticeable.
I'm guessing you also preferred Unholy Wars' quote-unquote story mode more?
I don't know. I guess story there. It was just basically in between levels you got info about the units and the worlds that you're on. This at least has a basic level of a story. Stop evil witches from destroying everything.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's not much of one after that, but it's there. As opposed to basically it's like reading the appendix from Lord of the Rings. But that's about it.
I wouldn't say it was... I wouldn't say it was terrible or really, really good, but I wouldn't say it was meh either. It's kind of leaning more towards not great, because you have a great opportunity for a story here with a bunch of, at the time, very notable and popular characters, even if their shows were done. But you don't really make an effort to introduce them. You don't do anything with them as far as, in-depth interaction, I want to say. And it's not like a case where, you have something like The Last Airbender that was so bad, people were compelled to check out the original source material because, there was no way the source material was that bad. This, it's so just there that I don't even have the drive, I guess, to look into the characters, because the introduction was just so underwhelming that I just don't particularly care.
I get what you mean. Like, compare something like Project Cross Zone, which got a lot of people interested in other series here and there. There's a lot of involvement that can entice you to check out these series here and there. Maybe it's
done. Wasn't that also done by, Bamco at that time? But yeah.
Technically, yeah. It's like, well, whereas that one had these interesting maps and scenarios that played on to stuff from the series that made you interested in them, this game is, again, what feels to be mainly just, hey, here's some people who meet up here, don't know how they meet up or whatnot occasionally, but
we're never going to explain it.
Here they are popping up, and just to top it off, they'll forget about it in the end, which kind of makes the crossover worthless.
No, remember, they repressed it because Akko clearly remembers, because she told us that the memories were erased. So no, they weren't erased, they were just repressed.
Almost like the writers can't make up their damn minds and are trying to sound vague to be artsy.
Also, about Project Cross Zone, I haven't seen the full story, but I've seen random cutscenes of it, and the character interactions are at least, pretty fun there.
Not just that,
yeah.
even not just quality sheer, even quantity. Like, if the characters both in and out of battle do interact much more than this.
And I enjoyed those, even completely out of context. I enjoyed what I saw.
Oh yeah, I think you're gonna love the Project Cross Zone games when we get to those. Like, again, I'm not gonna say there's never been another crossover to do that, but it's not every day you see a crossover that has not only the size and scale of Project Cross Zone, but the amazing attention to detail with references to both localization scripts, original Japanese scripts of games, and also all the trivia they can tie into in the interactions.
I would like to see the full thing at some point. But yeah, story aside, because, one more thing. Well, I think I did just mention an original character we know nothing about, so... I don't have any interest in her whole deal.
Oh yeah, the one who is like your temple guardian or whatnot.
The one who shows up at the end.
Which means that if you're... Oh, wait, are you referring to the witch or her bigger sister, I think, was it?
No, the magical girl we get, like...
Yeah, the original character for the good guys.
The one who calls for help at the beginning, but we don't really see properly that much till the end.
That's the thing. You only see her if you're losing during a match, technically, and... Yeah, weirdly enough, for someone who's calling all these magical ghosts together, she doesn't even show up much during the campaign, oddly enough.
She's literally holding the fort.
Yeah. But speaking of which, this, it's interesting, what they kept from Unholy War, because there is a bit of a tonal thing going on. But I know that as has been mentioned throughout this LP, that's not uncommon to have magical girls and children in general fighting eldritch abominations and other weird things that don't like they belong in universe. It's just, I think the only reason it takes people out of it is because we know where it came from. They're not original designs or enemies or whatever. But they already come from an existing thing. That existing thing also not really appealing much to me already, so it's like, I don't really care for either of these, although I would say this one is arguably worse, because again, the story opportunity that they did absolutely nothing with.
Yeah, I guess it really does make you think, like, what's worse? One that doesn't really try it as much, like, say, with Unholy War, or one that does put it out there, but then proceeds to do the bare minimum with, and that's been
They got
nice.
as far as the idea board and did nothing past that. And I agree with Dwibs, hearing about how the development went and the promotion, getting the magazines and stuff for the time. All of that is the most interesting thing about this whole thing. So that was like, it was nice to talk over this just to get to know, that side of the coin.
Happened.
Yeah, but the game itself is just, like, if it wasn't like for the information around it, I don't think like this was really all that worth bothering with, in all honesty. And that's all I have to say. This is
a game.
Yeah, and I understand why something similar, didn't really happen again. Although I think it could work still,
Yeah,
maybe another company could try again. There are plenty of
Yeah.
anime you could do this with, not just magical girl stuff.
Like I said, just make sure it's a Western company so that we can have the weirdness factor going on.
Yeah. And that's all I have to say about this.
Surprisingly,
Pedro?
quite a bit after all. Go on, Pedro.
Yeah, more than I thought I'd say, but yes, go ahead, Pedro.
The gameplay seems fine for what it is, I guess. I just think, like, as a crossover, it barely does any actual crossing over because the characters barely interact. It seems like, again, and we all know why, but at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that it's just like the game lacks personality and charm. Because, like, if you like the gameplay, it's great because that's pretty much the only thing that will carry you through. It seems. Aside from that, yeah, I don't have. It looks like a very mediocre game. Aside from that, yeah, I don't have anything.
Go ahead, Jova.
It's a fine game, but I will admit it is frustrating. Because look, even as somebody who's not as familiar with these properties, Cutie Honey aside, I would totally be down on a game that can sell me on them more, but it doesn't feel like they were trying for that. And yeah, perhaps given what went on during development, which is probably the most interesting thing about this game, I can sort of get it. I do wish that maybe Toys for Bob could have tried a bit better, and also maybe Bandai Namco could have tried to have made the development a little less strenuous for them as well.
Keep in mind, at the time, this was just Bandai.
All the same, though, I'd say that the problems with this game are a bit of a two-way street here. Toys for Bob, they should have tried better, but Bandai should have also tried to communicate with them better as well. And again, unfortunately, this does feel like it hits in what I would argue is the most important part of a crossover, the crossover elements of it. I mean, maybe there are some hidden... Well, actually, no, that's the thing. For as much as a crossover as this is, it feels like it's more to the Kingdom Hearts school crossover, in the sense like, well, sure, we get skits of the characters amongst themselves, but it's not like we really get to see the characters interacting with characters from other series as much. Like, oh yeah, sure, they talk to each other, but it's more just, hi, my name is this, I would like to join you. Like, any of the special interactions we get are with characters from the same series talking to each other, which is definitely a lot of missed potential here and there. Lack of cutscenes, our original character, who's supposed to tie everything together, has so little agency and presence, it's kind of weird. Heck, even the main villain doesn't really show up that much either. And for what? For her to claim that she'll be back, even though she definitely won't be. And hey, that's a smart idea. So the bad guy has claimed that she'll be back. So what do we do for the heroes that helped defeat her in the first place? Have them forget the whole venture. I'm sure that couldn't backfire if that witch actually did come back. It feels like this game was trying to meet a cliche quota in a sense here, and it's just weird. I mean, otherwise, the gameplay is fine. The multiplayer seems fine, even though I do wish that the factions could be more differentiated and whatnot. But I guess when you get down to it, the reason we harp so much on the story is like, well, obviously the campaign mode is meant to be the main draw here. Because everything else is fine and whatnot, but there's not much else to do other than that campaign mode.
I'm not gonna blame Toys for Bob too much on that front, because of how unfamiliar they were with everything that wasn't to do with Unholy War. They were pretty much just relying on what Bandai gave them, and Bandai didn't give them a whole lot. And well, what they did give them was in another language.
This is why I say that this is a two-way street of sorts. While I do feel that Toys for Bob could have tried a bit better, Bandai, from what all the information suggests, weren't exactly doing the best to make them comfortable in this position. And I really do wonder, did they really not have that much faith in a Gundam game of all things?
Or maybe we were just busy doing something else on that front. Gundam games were very common even around the time, so I'm pretty sure there was something in store. Or they were not confident in having out Western developers handling that instead. So we were just like, maybe they wanted this to be a test for Toys for Bob.
Which, I don't know how that test panned out because Toys for Bob continued, but apparently they never did business with Bandai again.
Considering the work experience, I get the idea Toys for Bob themselves did not want to do anything anymore. Which I think did also work for the best, to be honest, because Jova, imagine those kind of working conditions, but done for something like Gundam, even if it was something that the developers were enjoying it would have turned out still to be unfinished or a mess, but it would have been for a property they were lacking, which would have turned the whole thing even more sour for them.
But that is overall the thing with this game here. I'm not quite sure I can recommend it. Well, okay, it does do quite a few things better than Unholy War, updated graphics, technically more of a story mode. I mean, okay, if you're looking for more of a story, then I guess I would recommend Little Witching Mischiefs, even though, again, better hope you're fluent in Japanese for that. And unless you're familiar enough with the characters, you might not have as much a good time here. Don't get me wrong, I do like a lot of the variety on play here, and this is technically overall an improvement on Unholy War, with some few exceptions here and there. That being said, yeah, the most interesting thing about this game is its development, because unfortunately the story campaign is not as gripping as I was hoping it to be. It doesn't really teach me as much about the characters as I would like for it to, and I just have trouble with it gripping my interest at all. And again, that ending! Just make the characters forget all that stuff. Kinda makes me feel like there's no point in us even having a damn crossover. It's not a bad game, it just does a lot of things that leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But overall, it's a fine game. Tio, close us out.
Sure. This is harmless, technically speaking. It's still lacking, but it's harmless. The gameplay is solid enough, much like a slightly refined version of Unholy War, even if it's still missing some quality of life improvement, probably dictated by the development cycle. The crossover element, or the lack thereof, is the most, glaring element of this game. Yeah, compared to stuff like done in recent years, it's severely lacking. It's very simplistic in what it's done, and it's pretty much clear to me that it was from a lack of experience on the subject material from the developer. I really don't understand why Bandai thought it was a good idea to let someone who knew nothing about these things handle them, and just believing, we're just going to apply their own gameplay style, so we should be able to get everything else in check, because I get the games done around the time on the PlayStation were capable of having more interaction with these characters, with this kind of crossover elements, So it does feel like there wasn't done much work on that front for this game. Again, it does the job it was supposed to do. It could have been better, but it's also a bit understandable due to how the time it was made and the relevant trouble that it had. But that's pretty much it. Toys for Bob, went to do better things. God knows what we're gonna do now. Bandai went on to do also better things on their own, merging also with Namco. So it's not technically a complete bad end for the time being for both parties. And I do believe also that a type of crossover like this one specifically could be done still in the future. Not necessarily replicating the idea 100%, but something on like a spiritual successor. But again, only time will tell. And like Shiroi, I'm actually very interested to check some of this source material that I actually did miss out, especially considering how practically most of them are actually available in my country. So I might as well take advantage of that.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be looking into some of these as well.
That's pretty much it from me as well. So Dwibs, that as Toys for Bob done anything else weird that has attracted your attention?
To be honest, nothing that I would really classify as weird. We may get to Pandemonium eventually, but first I've got to get it on PC. It's on Steam, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So until we do another Toys for Bob game, probably not Skylanders. I'll leave that to someone else.
See ya.